The other element of this tragedy with 67 dead, with the collision of a helicopter and a commuter jet, is Donald Trump claiming that this was all about DEI. It was all about the woke. It was all about the CRT. It was all about whatever racist agenda item he wants to push. And he points to diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in hiring for the FAA, as though they're hiring the worst of the worst, and you don't have to be qualified at all, the only qualifier being the color of your skin or your gender or your disability. That's what they would have you believe. The problem with this is Donald Trump is responsible for the very policy that he's decrying right now, that he's yelling about, that he's screaming about. And in his announcement yesterday, I'm going to play a little bit of this, is Donald Trump announcing to the world the problem, and he reads from an article. The problem is the article that you're going to hear him read from, he doesn't show it, but the article that you're going to hear him read from, he says was about 2 weeks ago. In fact, it was a year ago. It was January of 2024. We're now in January of 2025. So Donald Trump wants to act like this was all because of Biden. He just left. This is the problem. All this Fox News reporting. He's just lying and deflecting, and we'll get to that. But first, his announcement where he's just lying at about a record-breaking clip, even for Donald Trump.
I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing. And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in, and they can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so. This was in January 14th, so that was a week before I entered office. They put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program. Then another article, the federal aviation.
I'm going to stop in there. It is not another article. What he's reading from, I'll put it on screen as he talks when the clip continues, but it is not another article. It's actually the first paragraph of the article that he's lying about, saying was 2 weeks ago when it was January 14th, 2024. We'll let him continue.
FAA's program. Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration. This was before I got to office, recently, second term. The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Can you imagine? These are people that are, actually their lives are shortened because of the stress that they have. Brilliant people have to be in those positions, and their lives are actually shortened, very substantially shortened because of the stress, where you have many, many planes coming into one target, and you need a very special talent and a very special genius to be able to do it. Targeted disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruitment and hiring. The FAA's website states they include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism all qualify for the position of a controller of airplanes pouring into our country, pouring into a little spot, a little dot on the map, a little runway.
It is not those characteristics of those people that he's naming, where it be partial paralysis or dwarfism. That is not what qualifies you to be an air traffic controller. I would say, and Donald Trump knows this, but I'm not sure he does. But certainly Jesse Waters knows it, because he was given marching orders by Donald Trump for Fox News to run with this lie, to cement it into the minds of MAGA Americans everywhere, and he ran with it. Now, I want you to pay attention closely to the words Donald Trump just said, that list of partial paralysis and intellectual disability or whatever those things were, those characteristics. And I want you to pay attention to how Jesse Waters frames them. And then we're going to get to the Washington Post fact check that shows that Donald Trump actually is responsible for this thing that he now says is DEI and woke and terrible and to blame, even though it's not, for the crash in Washington, D.C.
How are air traffic controllers not essential workers? I have no idea. And this DEI thing isn't just a race thing. Biden instituted DEI quotas at the FAA in order to recruit workers who were deaf, vision impaired, missing limbs, completely paralyzed, epileptic, people who were severely intellectually disabled, psychiatrically disabled, and dwarfs. This was Biden's FAA just 2 years ago.
We need a diverse group of air traffic controllers to bring distinct perspectives to handle the ever-changing aerospace landscape. I'm calling on students and alumni from HBCUs, Hispanic serving institutions, and tribal colleges to apply now to become air traffic controllers.
To apply now to become air traffic controllers, if indeed qualified, if indeed they pass through training and certify themselves as capable to do the job. Not by virtue of the fact that they come from historically black colleges and universities or Hispanic serving institutions or tribal colleges. That's not what gets you the job. Jesse Waters knows this. Most of the right wing, they know this. Donald Trump, he's a dumb guy. I don't know that he knows it. Enter Washington Post fact check. They gave this one 4 Pinocchios from Donald Trump, and it's good ammunition to have to go into your day, whether you're on social media, whether you're at work, whether you're with family, to be able to set the record straight about the exact deal with this particular initiative. Here's the headline from the Washington Post. Trump launched air controller diversity program that he now decries. At news conference, Trump read a list of disabilities he calls disqualifying, but his administration started such hiring in 2019. Here are the facts. In the news conference, Trump said Obama weakened standards and, quote, I changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary. Then they changed it back. That was Biden. That's false. In his first term, Trump left the standards unchanged. For air traffic controllers, the Obama administration in 2013 instituted a new hiring system that introduced a biographical questionnaire to attract minorities underrepresented in the controller corps. The program was criticized, such as in a Fox News report in 2015, as making it harder for more skilled applicants to get hired on as controllers. But Trump in his first term left the policy in place, leading to a class action lawsuit filed in 2019 by Mountain States Legal Foundation. The case was due to go to trial this year. Now, the problem with this is, and I'm not going to read every single paragraph here, but a lot of the links, because Donald Trump is purging anything having to do with woke DEI, we're not talking about that. And I almost made a Pete Hegseth joke, and I didn't. Yeah, see, look, I have discipline. I can control myself. They're purging the internet links of January 6th convictions and what their crimes were, and also all of this stuff from Donald Trump's first administration. And that is where this comes in. The link under targeted disabilities is now dead, but the Wayback Machine retains links from June 2017 and January 2021 that show the page was unchanged during Trump's tenure. The list, remember the list that Donald Trump named and that Jesse Waters just named, except Jesse Waters, he didn't read it correctly. This is the list. Hearing, total deafness in both ears, vision, blind, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, dwarfism. The June 2019 page for the Aviation Development Program, ADP, also now removed but still visible on the Wayback Machine, said the program provides an opportunity for persons with targeted disabilities, PWTD, to gain aviation knowledge and experience as an air traffic controller student trainee. Participants would get a year of experience in an air route traffic control center with a possibility of getting a temporary appointment at the FAA Academy. A lot of hoops to jump through. An absolute series of accomplishments that you need to make before you get hired on as a full-time air traffic controller. This isn't about DEI. This isn't about hiring someone because solely on the color of their skin or their religion or their lived experience. This is about finding qualified people who are also members of those different ethnicities or disability groups, minority groups in general. It's about making our government look more like the tapestry of America and not like Donald Trump's family, not like Pete Hegseth's family, not like every other member of his cabinet's family up to this point.
This new year, how about a habit you can stick to? One simple scoop of AG1 every day will get you 75 high-quality vitamins and minerals from whole food sources. I have a scoop of AG1 in water before my cappuccino every morning. This way, I don't have to mathematically figure out, am I getting every vitamin and mineral I need from my diet? I do the best I can, but the AG1 just covers me. I drink it straight with water because I like the taste. You could put it in a smoothie, juice, shake. AG1 is just a sustainable routine for me because it's a scoop, 1 minute, once a day. That is it. I also love the travel packs, which let me take AG1 anywhere I go. I've got the big pack of AG1 at home. And AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packs in your first box. Go to drinkag1.com/Pacman. The link is in the description.